Today I'm sharing 3 books I've been reading lately. We'll go from a Chilean family saga to a devilish classic and finally a magical bookshop. And of course, I'll be making the most of the new stationery I showed you last week. So first, it's Portrait in Sepia by Isabel Allende from Chile. I read The House of the Spirits about 12 years ago, and recently I found out that after its huge success, Isabel Allende actually wrote 2 prequels, Daughter of Fortune and Portrait in Sepia. And together they're now called the Involuntary Trilogy. In Portrait in Sepia, we're following Aurora del Valle as she tries to understand her identity, and for that she needs to piece together her whole family history. So the story takes place between 1862 and 1910, and it moves between Chile, the US, and Europe. It's historical fiction and a family saga that explores memory and heritage. What I absolutely love about Allende's writing is that she doesn't just transport you to these places, she transports you into a family. And not exactly any family. Every character is fully developed. Each one really brings something meaningful to the story. And they're all unique and flawed and eccentric. Honestly, some are a tad crazy. And she'll tell you the quirkiest family anecdotes with a completely straight face. It's always surprising and it's very funny. It's a little bit like the tone in 100 Years of Solitude, but apart from that, they're very different books. So I love that her writing is concise, but also very eloquent at the same time. It's full of humor and social insight and Chilean history. I especially enjoyed how she portrays the Pacific War. It's vivid and it's an interesting perspective. And the parts about Chinese immigrants arriving in the US, that reminded me of East of Eden. And she also explores medical progress, social struggles, and the condition of women during that period. So that's very complete. But maybe you've read The House of the Spirits and maybe you didn't like the magical realism. But Portrait in Sepia isn't magical realism. It's more grounded in history, but it still has that storytelling style she's famous for. Portrait in Sepia gives you the backstory of just a couple of characters who appear later in The House of the Spirits, so they're connected, but you can easily read it as a standalone. Overall, it's one of those books that wraps you up completely in the story, the family, the time period. So if you love historical fiction with memorable characters, great writing, unpredictable storytelling, and humor, this one's definitely worth reading. For this page, I went with a very vintage aesthetic with the doilies and tags and the old frame and stickers I recently got from Journalsay. I also used my new alphabet stamps, also from Journalsay, and they're great. I'm so happy with them. They match this style, they're exactly the right size for me, slightly smaller than the ones I usually use, and that typewriter font is exactly what I was looking for my reading journal. Then I read The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis from, I don't know, Northern Ireland. Was it the UK yet? I don't know. It's a short book, just about 200 pages, and fun fact, it's dedicated to Tolkien. The concept is so clever. Screwtape is a senior demon who writes letters to his nephew, giving him advice on how to tempt an ordinary man and lead him away from the right path. The goal, of course, is to damn his soul to hell. Their full-time job, temptation, and they're very bureaucratic about it. We only get Screwtape's side of the correspondence, but through his letters, you can imagine what the nephew is asking and his struggles and mistakes, and it's very funny. We also never meet the human they're plotting against directly. We only know him through the demon's perspective, but somehow that makes us recognize ourselves even more. Because really, Lewis is making fun of us, the reader, our vanities and weaknesses. Through all of these letters, he paints an honest portrait of human nature seen through the eyes of devils, all our daily struggles we don't necessarily see or we don't necessarily like to admit. It's also surprisingly well structured. He shows all aspects of temptation and how easily we slip and make excuses. But because it's ironic and very satirical, it never feels preachy. It's really smart. You're much more open to self-reflection because it's witty and, well, ironically very human. In the end, it's not just a story because you can't help but reflect on your own choices, your mindset, and reconsider. Maybe try and do a little better. So if you like stories that make you laugh and think and maybe see yourself a little differently, you'll love the Screwtape letters. On this spread, I used stationery from my last 2 Journalsay orders, plus the anonymous letter stickers from Isobova. There's like paradise on one side and hell on the other, and these funny but threatening letters in between that very much fit the tone of the book. And then I read The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods from Ireland. It's mostly set in bookshops across Dublin, Paris and London, moving between the 40s and the present day. With references to Dickens, the Brontes, Victor Hugo and James Joyce, it's definitely a book for book lovers. It actually reminded me a bit of the movie Midnight in Paris, with the same kind of magical, nostalgic vibe. But I have to say, I didn't really feel transported to these places. The story follows 3 points of view in 2 timelines. In present day, we have Martha, who's trying to rebuild her life, Henry, who's searching for a mysterious lost manuscript, and in the early 1900s, we have Opaline, who's escaping her father and brother. The first half of the book is really enjoyable. It's cozy, a little bit predictable, but charming. There's a touch of magic, a bit of romance, and a mysterious literary thread that keeps you interested. And I especially liked Henry. I think he's got this self-deprecating humor that makes him goofy and likable. The second half, though, didn't work as well for me. It shifts more toward literary and historical fiction with heavier drama. It's still predictable, but a bit more serious in tone. And honestly, Opaline started to get on my nerves. She's a bit naive and she makes some pretty frustrating choices. Also, what's up with every main character having this super tragic backstory? It's too much. And the romance. It looked straightforward and natural, but you can tell the author didn't want them to get together too soon. So there's back and forth, one step forward and two steps back. It gets a little frustrating as a reader. The bookshop itself is a lovely metaphor. It's a symbol of self-discovery and putting down roots. It had potential, but I think it could have been developed more. In the end, the story is about finding your voice, your place in the world, and learning to move forward. But the characters are often indecisive and slow to grow or slow to learn, and sometimes I felt a bit stuck with them. So that's it for today's reading update. If you've made it till the end, leave me this emoji, and I'd love to know if you've read any of these or if you want to after this video. And I always love hearing what you're reading too. All the stationery I used is linked below with my discount codes, and you can also check out my unboxing video from last week. If you enjoy my reviews or these pages, don't forget to like, subscribe, and even hype it up so this video can reach more readers like you. I'll see you soon in the next one, and until then, enjoy reading!